I was talking to a good friend of mine, actually a guy, and we were talking about. I was telling him, "Hey, I got to do these video. I got to do, throw up a video, on the weekend because I had a great weekend, right?" And we were talking about. He's like, "Well, what you gonna do a video on?" And I wanted to do a video. Of course, y'all know it's always something where it's like, "Hey, talking about the things we don't want to talk about." So I was gonna do a hair video, of course, but then he was like, what you were doing a video on boss chicks, independent woman." I'm like, no. And I said, contrary to what you believe, most women, a lot of women, I can't speak for everybody, but I can speak for myself. We don't want to be in that role. I'm talking about black women because, that's what we kind of deal with, right? We don't want to be in a role of masculinity for the most part, and we don't want to be head of our households, but a lot of times we're forced into those positions. You know what I mean? For whatever life situation may throw at you, whether you're a single mom or whether you are, going through a divorce, whatever the case may be, we don't really want the role, but if we have the role, we're going to do what we need to do. And he said to me, he said, it sounds really good when you say that, but a lot of women say that, and then when they get a good man that is a provider, they don't want that. You know what I'm saying? They want to still lead the household, right? And he made the comment, he said, let's say you have a woman and she has done well in her career, right? And she's making over 100, 6 figures, right? So she's making over 100K. A lot of times it's hard for the woman to relinquish that right, to relinquish it, especially if she's been single for so long. So now when you have a man that's coming in like, hey, let me take care of that for you, the woman is like, I got it, And he said, so you're telling us that's what you want, and you're tired of being this way, but then if it's not done the way you want it done, and if it's not done by you, you don't want us, you still want to be head of your household. And I was like, now, y'all know, I was like, oh God, he got a point there. I'm like, yeah. I was like, yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that, because me, myself, I'm one of those people, if you're like me, one of those, I'll get in my head about things. I have really been going in with intent, with not getting in my head, deciphering conversations that's had, what they meant by that. I don't know if you like me, but I have like a type A personality. Like I decipher, I need to take apart everything for it to make sense to me. And sometimes you don't need to take it apart, right? Sometimes what a person is saying to you or what a man is saying to you is exactly. For the most part, most of the men that I have dealt with have said, if I said it, that's exactly what I meant. It was no, you didn't have to go look and you didn't have to go try to understand. You didn't have to read the definition. I'm telling you what I want, right? And so I was like, you know what? You do have a point there. And I know you ladies, some of you ladies can agree with me with that. Where it's like we're saying one thing, but in actuality, we don't, a lot of times, a lot of us don't relinquish that right. And we say, oh, I want to be submissive, but we really don't. We want to be submissive when it's convenient, just like a man want to be faithful when it's convenient. We want to be submissive when it's convenient, when it feels good, when it's lovey, when he's buying presents and all those stuff, things like that. So I'm like, yeah, that's true. And the other thing, he's a high earning man. He's a good friend of mine. He's a high earning man, and he was saying how, I have to pay my own bills and all this stuff, and he's like, and then you want to get with men, and it's said that 21% are millionaires, and then 8% of them are black, right? I don't know if it's changed statistics wise, but he was like, not all men are making 6 figures. So a lot of women are, and we talk about the women who are not even making that amount, and they're demanding that you at least have 6 figures. And he said that's one thing, but it's a lot of women that they are making 6 figures or more. They're doing very well in their careers and their own businesses. And then they're giving if you're not on that level, like, oh no, he can't be, because I need him to teach me, and I need him to meet me at the table. And I was like, so this is the thing, and I know somebody's gonna come over here with their projecting because they done been in they got out of a bad relationship and they want all us to feel the same, because I don't hate men. And some of the points that he was making, I was like, he said, what do you say to that? And I did, I came back with some stuff, and I said, it is women out there that, they do that. But for the most part, not all of us think that way. The same way you don't think that way as far as being able to come in and being a provider for a woman, right? I said, but at the same time, cut us some slack, because for so long, even, and I don't want to use this, but for so long, if a woman has been in that state, it's going to take her a while. So when you get a woman and you're really into that woman, you really like her, you need to be able to have the patience, know that, hey, I really want this woman. I see long term for her. Give her the chance to grow out of that, because a lot of us live in survival mode. That's one thing I always believed in, like not going into relationship needing the man, meaning like I need him financially and things like that. I always wanted to be in a relationship where I have it, but I'm going to allow him to move how he need to move. So I'm that type of girl. But one of the things that I made a bad decision on was coming into the relationship and not having my own. Because when the ball drops out, or if the ball drops out, you have nothing to go on. So now a lot of women, and I was explaining this to him, a lot of women are stuck into bad relationships because of the fact that they have nothing, right? So now it's like a vicious cycle. So he was like, well, that makes sense. And I said, and then, you guys talk about the marriages with our grandparents and our great-grandparents and our mothers. But a lot of those women, they didn't have a right to vote. They didn't have their own. They weren't allowed to have their own bank account. They weren't allowed to have their own credit card. So for years, and it's nothing wrong with it, they have known to make sure that you find a great provider. Most other cultures, they make sure that their person, their man is a provider, or they're in a good situation. But a lot of us as Black women, we'll rock with you from the bottom, and when you get up to the top, you get amnesia. So I threw it back at him, and he was like, "Yeah, that's true." So I said, and I'm saying this to you, and I said this to him. I said, it's the reason why you're saying this is because the women that you have been with have thought like this and have given you that. The same way, and I'm saying this to the women that project a lot of negativity and things like that. The reason why you feel negative when it comes to a man in relationships is because those are the type of men that you deal with. But it's as simple as walking away and saying, hey, I don't want that kind of man in my life or whatever. I don't want that type of relationship. And you could just get up and walk away. You don't have to get on social media. You don't have to complain. There is a group of women that is perfect for that particular man. So for me, and I told him, I said, a lot of my friends, they'll say something like, okay, oh, do he got money? The friend will say, oh, I'm talking to this person. And then the other friend will say, well, what kind of money he got? And I always come when they say, oh, you love to take the air out of the balloon. I always say, even if he has the money, he could be have $10 million. It's his money. Always remember that. It's his money and his decision to decide whether he wants to share that with you or give you that lifestyle. And a lot of men are not thinking that way. A lot of men don't want to do that. And then you have a lot of men that do. They don't want to have all of this and not share it with someone. So stop looking at the fact of what he has, and you're only looking at the bag. And we need to look at the character of the man, who he is as a person, his morals, how he treats you. Those are the things. What kind of man? How does he treat the friends around him? What do they say about him? Is his name? Does he have a good name? A lot of times we say, oh, he gotta love the Lord. Well, what does that look like to you? You know what I mean? We don't even know what that means. We just want to say, basically, we're saying we want him to go to church, and we already know the worst kind be right there in that church. I hate to say it, in my experiences. So I just wanted to drop this off that we were just talking about relationships and the boss chick, and I told him, I said, I don't want to be a boss chick. I don't want to be a strong black woman. I say I'm resilient, but I'm not. I don't want to be a strong black woman. I want to work in my masculinity when I need to, when it comes to my business and work, right? But outside of that, I like living in my softness. And I said, and there are a group of women that feel that way. They can get the job done, they can make the money and everything, but they know how to turn that masculinity off and on to be able to have a healthy and good relationship and understand, what type of relationship that you and your significant other decide. So I was going to come on, which I'm going to do another video anyway, but I was going to come on. I was coming on to talk about something else, but to talk about this. And boss chick can mean different. Boss chick doesn't necessarily mean that, I'm going to leave you with this. Boss chick doesn't necessarily mean that you independent and I don't take no mess from no man and all this stuff. Boss chick, there are actually really boss chicks, and he was laughing. I said, there are really boss chicks that have employees that are boss chicks that run their businesses. So they can, and they know how to turn it off and on if they choose to. Some women choose to be single and they like being a boss chick, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I wanted to explain to him like what our definition, or what my definition would be as a boss chick. Now, for those of you walking around thinking that you're a boss chick based on the length of your hair extensions or wigs, or your clothes you wear, or the money that you're getting from somebody else, that's your business. But to me, that's what a boss chick is. And I'm just going about what's the difference between a boss chick and a woman, and the things that we should be putting out there. And it was a good discussion with a man, having a mature conversation with someone that kind of understood, like, oh, I see what you're saying. Like, not all women think that way, but we do have to acknowledge that if you are one of those women that are like, oh, I don't need no man, and you're, because I get them all the time in the comments. That's like, one lady said yesterday, oh, we don't even have time for men. They are she's done with men. We're done with men. No, you're done with the men that you were dealing with. Maybe you had some bad experience, but we're not done with men. You know what I mean? And I should be able to do a video discussing a man's opinion without my sisters feeling like they're being attacked or they're being torn down because a man has an opinion. So we got to get out of that. We got to stop projecting. We got to start healing and being able to have those conversations across the board. Remember, this channel isn't just about hair. It's also about healing the inside of us so we can go to the next level in our life and be able to experience all that we have. Because remember, there's a lot of people in the graveyard that wish they can have the experience that you're being able to do today, that wish that they can get up, walk out, see the people they love, have conversations, be happy, laugh, drink, have fun. There are plenty of people that wish that they can do that. And you can't do that. You can't live on this earth and live in misery and anger and, hatred all the time. You can't do that. You have to learn to heal and learn from our relationships and situations and move forward. And we don't have to bash the other person. I have been in some really bad situations and relationships, but I refuse. I think the best revenge is not to get revenge. Let that person move on and live their life, and you live your life to the fullest, right? So I pray that this video helps you. What do you think about the boss chick and the independent woman? Like, what is your thoughts on it? Because I gave him my thoughts, but what are your thoughts on it? And I will see you in the next video. Love you guys. Bye.